We had so many people asking where could they donate, where could they donate in his memory, and we just said the Humane Society because his cats were important to him. The first one he adopted, he called him Cafu, and he was like big 25-pound Tom cat.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is Saturday, May 17th, and I just came across something, a synopsis for what's going down this week on Sister Wives. Over the past 3 weeks, I've noticed something strange. TLC hasn't been releasing new episode teasers, and there's been no coming up on Sister Wives at the end of the episodes. That's unusual, especially since they've consistently done that for every episode since the show began. Maybe it's because the subject matter is particularly sensitive this time. Maybe they're trying not to upset the family. I really don't know. For this upcoming episode, TLC only put out a short clip on their Facebook page. From what I gathered, the kids, including Janelle's, along with Christine and Mary, are in Wyoming. They all get an Airbnb and stay together. They're gathered there, and eventually, they meet up with Kody, Robin, and their kids. You don't actually see them all on screen together, but that seems to be the general setup. They're all in Wyoming to lay him to rest. This will be the final episode of season 19. It's episode 25, and after that, there will be 4 tell-alls, which, to be honest, kind of feels excessive at this stage. Going back to rehash old fights just doesn't feel like it fits anymore. But anyway, I came across the episode synopsis on Rotten Tomatoes, and it reads, "The family comes together in Wyoming to honor Garrison and lay him to rest beside his grandparents. Kody digs a grave for his son's ashes, and the family says their final goodbyes." Now, I don't know much about this cemetery. I tried looking into it, Penrose, I believe it's called. I found some memorials on a site called graves.com, and it doesn't look like a private family cemetery. There are lots of unrelated names, so it seems more like a public space. It's outside Powell in Bighorn County, and it doesn't really have a listed address or website, so I couldn't find much more than that. Personally, in my own experience, I've never had a family member dig a grave. And I certainly haven't seen anyone dig a grave and then have it broadcast on national television for profit. That's just hard for me to wrap my head around. I don't know how I feel about watching Kody dig a grave for an urn that will be buried next to his parents, Wynn and Cheryl. Apparently, there's a family plot there with multiple grave sites purchased so relatives can be buried together. That part isn't unusual. Janelle even said she bought a plot next to Garrison's so she could be laid to rest beside him one day. And while I know some people do it, I've rarely heard of urns being buried. Usually, if someone is cremated, the ashes go into a niche, one of those little compartments in a memorial wall at a cemetery. It's more decorative and above ground, not buried like a casket. So, forgive me, I haven't had a cremation in my immediate family yet, so I'm not super familiar with how it all works. I don't have anything against cremation, of course. It's just hard to think about Kody doing this on a show that's caused so much hurt for this family. And now we find out. Well, we've kind of always known this, but Gwendolyn confirmed this week. Most of the kids, including those who'll appear in this episode, were never paid for being on the show. They're just there. Maybe they're getting a free trip out of it, but it's not even really a vacation. They're in Wyoming, sharing an Airbnb, something they could easily do any year on their own. It's not like they're going somewhere special or unique. So, yeah, this Teen Vogue article just dropped, and Gwendolyn basically said, "We never earned anything from the show. Producers would often ambush us with questions we weren't ready to answer. Some of our hardest moments were filmed and aired, even though that's not what most of us wanted." And with the way this episode is being put together, and with Kody making it all about himself, I get the sense that the kids didn't really have a choice in whether or not to be part of it. Because if they weren't there, the story might be framed in a way they feel doesn't truthfully reflect who Garrison was. So maybe that's why they showed up. But honestly, I don't need to see Kody digging a grave. I don't need to watch anyone dig a grave. What made my stomach drop was remembering that time Kody buried a dog in the backyard at their Lehigh home. And now it feels like they're gonna turn this episode into a repeat of that. It just left me feeling sick. You can pay someone to dig a grave. You don't have to do it yourself. So this just feels like another performative move from Kody, like he's trying to show how deeply he loved Garrison, when the truth is, he didn't show that same care when Garrison was alive. And it makes me wonder, if Garrison could see all of this now, what would he think? His final texts were filled with frustration over the show, anger at the production team, and his feelings about how everything was being handled. And now, here we are. He's being turned into a storyline. And again, this week, we're hearing more about how the kids were never compensated, how their most personal moments have been put out for public consumption, and how the adult children have no privacy, whether they're on the show or not. Because with Kody, anything that affects him can be turned into content. That's a scary place to be, for anyone even loosely connected to him. You don't want to be on TV? Too bad. You don't want your name brought up? If it works for the storyline, you're going to be part of it. You won't be accurately represented, but you'll be there, because Kody wants to turn everything into a TV moment. With Kody and Robin, nobody is really safe. Anything and everything can be twisted into drama if it benefits the show. But honestly, the one thing in all of this that I think Garrison would have truly appreciated was what Janelle did. She visited the Humane Society in Flagstaff, High Country Humane, and found out about their AAT adoption room. That's when the donations started coming in. Over $25,000 was raised, and it was truly heartwarming. I remember last year when this all first happened, I donated a large portion of my video revenue to High Country Humane and another local shelter. It just felt like the right thing to do. And seeing the impact, that part really touched me. Those donations helped them waive adoption fees. In 1 month alone, 25 or 35 cats were adopted because the usual costs weren't a barrier anymore. Families were able to take home a pet without worrying about the money. That room, it's now named in Garrison's honor. They even put up a plaque to commemorate him. That's the kind of legacy he would have been proud of.
Yes, all three came from High Country Humane.
And because of those donations, cats that needed help actually received it. And now, part of Garrison's legacy will live on through that adoption room, which will remain dedicated to him. All three of his cats had come from that very same humane society. To me, that is the kind of tribute that truly honors him. If the show had to include something, why not focus on what actually mattered to him? He adored his cats. They were like his children. He had such a tender heart, especially for animals that had been abandoned or cast aside. He believed in rescuing, and that's not easy work. I've adopted rescue dogs myself, and I know firsthand that they often come with deep trauma. You're not just taking in a pet. You're accepting their past and the healing that comes with it. That takes patience, love, and commitment. Some animals never fully recover, but many do find their peace in the right home. Garrison understood that. He was willing to be that safe place for those animals. That's just the kind of person he was. So when Janelle visited that shelter and saw the impact, the donations, the waived adoption fees, the lives changed, I felt like that was a respectful way to honor his memory. Not by filming the act of putting him in the ground. When we laid my mother-in-law to rest, I can't even fathom cameras being there. That moment was sacred. It's one of the most raw, vulnerable times for any family. When you place the casket or the urn in the ground and you say your final goodbye, placing flowers or touching the soil, it's something private. We placed roses. Others might drop a handful of dirt as a symbolic act. But it's intimate, personal, not something to be consumed as entertainment. So, no, I don't need to watch Kody Brown dig a grave for a son he barely showed up for in life. Outside of being the man who contributed DNA and is now trying to use this moment to patch up his public image, he wasn't there for Garrison when it mattered. But he can dig a grave for a TV show? Really? I honestly don't know if I'll be able to watch this episode. I need time to think it over, but I just felt I had to talk about it. For me, this crosses a line. It feels like a betrayal to Garrison. I'm deeply disturbed that Kody still seems to have so much control, to the point that the women in the family apparently went along with this. And if they truly agreed to it, that makes me start questioning all the adults involved and how complicit they are in turning this deeply personal, heartbreaking moment into a spectacle. You can talk about his death. You should open a dialogue around mental health, suicide awareness, and the signs people often miss. The show could use this tragedy to help others. It could offer resources, spark empathy, and possibly save lives. But so far, that hasn't happened. Instead, we're getting a grave scene, and that's just too much for me. It immediately brought me back to that dog burial Kody did on the show, and I felt physically sick. For me, this is an unforgivable moment. But I want to know what you think. Share your thoughts down in the comments. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to click the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.